Sometimes destiny writes stories in silence, without fanfare, merely sowing meetings and partings over the years. A girl who grew up promising to change the family's future. A friend who was always around but whom life placed on opposite paths. Amid professional achievements and a pristine apartment, there remained a void that nothing could fill. Until a simple request for help rekindled memories, brought new smiles, and revealed that perhaps what she was seeking had always been within reach. She just needed to see it. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. The smell of weak coffee lingered in the kitchen when Layla woke up that Sunday morning. She was only 8 years old, but she already knew how to recognize the sound of pots being arranged carefully to avoid noise. Her mother trying not to wake anyone up while preparing breakfast with what little was left in the almost empty pantry. "Sweetie, already awake?" her mother asked, quickly disguising her worried expression as she tucked some letters into the pocket of her faded apron. Layla recognized those envelopes. They always had red stamps and made her mother cry at night, when she thought no one was listening. At that age, she already knew what they meant. More bills they couldn't afford to pay. "When I grow up," said Layla, grabbing a slice of bread, "I'll earn so much money that we'll never have to hide letters again." Her mother smiled, running her hand through her daughter's hair, but Layla saw the glimmer of restrained tears in her eyes. It was on that day that Layla Dawson decided her future. 27 years later, Layla entered her office on the 42nd floor, the click of her heels echoing on the impeccable floor. The walls displayed diplomas and certificates that told the story of a determined girl who became a respected executive. The view from the window revealed the city she had conquered through sleepless nights and sacrificed weekends. "Good morning, Ms. Dawson," her assistant greeted, handing her a perfectly prepared coffee. "The meeting with the investors has been moved up to 9 o'clock. This also arrived for you." Layla took the cream envelope that was handed to her. Another wedding invitation. 3rd this month. She put it in her bag without much enthusiasm. "Any important messages?" "Your mother called. She said that the builders finished the roof renovation and that your father is very happy with the result." Layla smiled. This was what she worked so hard for. Her parents' house, once plagued with leaks and structural problems, was now completely renovated. Her younger brother had graduated from college thanks to her. Her professional achievements had brought financial security to everyone she loved. "Oh, and Owen Carter called again. He said he'll have to postpone next week's lunch. Something about his son's school presentation." Layla's smile faltered for a moment. "All right. Send flowers for Noah's presentation, and reschedule my agenda." As Layla walked to her office, she paused briefly in front of a photograph on the wall. It was the only one that didn't portray professional achievements. In it, a teenage Layla smiled next to a boy with tousled hair and a shy smile. Owen, her childhood friend. Night arrived faster than Layla would have liked. Her downtown apartment was spacious and stylish, exactly as the decorating magazines recommended. Everything was in place. Nothing was out of order. And this perfection just made the silence all the more deafening. Sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, Layla swiped her finger across her phone screen, scrolling through photos of friends in their lives full of other someone. Rebecca with the twins at the beach, Michael celebrating 10 years of marriage, Jenny showing the ultrasound of her second child. Her fingers paused on a recent photo of Owen. He was holding Ethan, his youngest 5-year-old, on his shoulders, while Grace, 8, and Noah, 12, made faces beside them. Despite the smile, Owen's eyes bore a weariness that Layla knew well. 4 years since Anna, Owen's wife, had passed away in a car accident, leaving him alone with 3 children. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Layla, it's Jenny. I'm organising a dinner on Saturday and, well, I know you're always busy, but I really wanted you to come. And I've brought a friend of mine whom I think you will love." Layla sighed internally. Another blind date disguised as a casual dinner. "I'm not sure, Jenny. I have an important presentation on Monday and, please, you need to get out of this office a little. I know you've built an amazing career, but There's more to life, you know." There was something in Jenny's voice, perhaps genuine concern, that made Layla give in. "All right, what time?" The dinner was exactly as Layla imagined. Brandon was a lawyer, smart and polite. The conversation flowed smoothly, but also without sparks. By the end of the night, they exchanged numbers with the empty promise of, "Let's arrange something," that they both knew would never happen. In the kitchen, while helping Jenny with the dishes, Layla couldn't help but let out a sigh of frustration. "What's up?" asked Jenny, handing her a glass of wine. "Nothing. Brandon seems great. It's just that—" "He's not what you're looking for," Jenny finished, sitting next to her. "You know, sometimes we spend so much time searching for something that we don't notice what's right in front of us." "What do you mean?" Jenny shrugged. "Just that he might be closer than you think." Layla laughed at the phrase, but something about it kept echoing in her mind all the way home. Closer than you think. On Monday, Layla was distracted during the meeting. Jenny's words kept echoing in her mind. At the end of the day, as she was tidying up her desk, her gaze fell once again on the photograph with Owen. A forgotten memory came back with force. They were 17 years old and were sitting on the old swing in the park near their houses. Owen had just told her that he had been accepted to the state university. "I'll miss you," he had said, his voice trembling. "Layla, I think I've always liked you, more than as a friend." Layla remembered the feeling of panic she felt. Not because she didn't like him, Owen was her best friend, her safe haven, but because she had just received a full scholarship to a university across the country. She had plans, dreams of escaping poverty, of building a different life. "Owen, I can't. I have to focus on my studies right now." His hurt look was etched in her memory. 2 weeks later, they both left for different universities. They kept in touch, but something had changed. 3 years later, Owen met Anna in college. Layla was the maid of honor at their wedding. Life went on. She built her career. He built his family. And then, the accident that changed everything. Closer than you think. Almost without noticing, Layla picked up the phone and typed a message to Owen. "How are the kids? Can we still reschedule that lunch?" The opportunity arose unexpectedly 2 days later. A monstrous traffic jam was paralyzing the city due to an accident on the main avenue. Layla was leaving a meeting when she saw Owen's message. "I've been stuck in traffic for an hour. The kids get out of school in 30 minutes and I won't be able to get there in time. The babysitter is sick. Any chance you could—" Layla did not hesitate. "I'll send my driver to pick them up. Give me the school's address." 2 hours later, her apartment, usually quiet and tidy, was full of children's voices, scattered backpacks, and shoes out of place. "And then the teacher said my drawing was the best in the class," Grace explained excitedly, showing a colourful sheet. "It's a family of elephants. See? This is the daddy, this is Mommy in heaven, and these are me, Noah, and Ethan." Layla felt a lump in her throat. "It's beautiful, Grace." Noah, sitting in the corner of the sofa with a book, observed everything with eyes too attentive for his 12 years. "You didn't have to do that. We could have waited at school." "I wanted to," replied Layla, surprising herself with the sincerity in her voice. "Actually, I'm enjoying the company." The sound of the doorbell interrupted the conversation. Owen was at the door, his hair dishevelled and deep dark circles under his eyes, but with a relieved smile upon seeing the children. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, as Ethan ran to hug his legs. "It was a pleasure," Layla replied, and she realised that it truly had been. In the weeks that followed, Layla found herself looking for ways to be more present in Owen and the children's lives. She started by bringing food when she knew he had worked late. Then she offered to help with homework on an evening when he seemed particularly tired. Before long, she became a regular presence in Owen's house. She learned that Noah liked astronomy and had a collection of stones he kept as treasures. She discovered that Grace had a talent for drawing and dreamed of becoming an artist, and she realized that Ethan, despite his young age, was observant and sensitive, noticing changes in mood that others did not. On a Saturday afternoon, while helping Owen prepare dinner, Layla noticed how different he seemed when he was relaxed. The constant weight he carried on his shoulders seemed to lighten when they talked about simple things, like old movies or memories from their teenage years. "Remember that time we tried to make a cake for your mum's birthday?" he asked, laughing while chopping vegetables. Layla laughed out loud. "How could I forget? We almost set the kitchen on fire." "Your mum wasn't even mad. She said the effort was worth more than any gift." "She's always been like that," Layla said, feeling a wave of affection. "You know, I renovated their house last year. You should see how it turned out." Owen stopped what he was doing and looked at her with an expression that Layla couldn't decipher. "What is it?" she asked. "Nothing, it's just that you really did it, didn't you? Everything you promised to do when we were kids, taking care of your family, achieving success." Layla felt an unexpected emotion rise in her throat. "I guess so. But sometimes I wonder about the price I paid." "How so?" She shrugged, suddenly vulnerable. "My apartment is too quiet." Owen lightly touched her hand, and the contact sent a comforting warmth up Layla's arm. "Well, you always have a noisy place to visit whenever you want." The shift in their relationship came on a rainy Thursday night. Layla was reviewing documents at home when her cell phone buzzed with a message from Owen. "Ethan has a high fever. I don't know what to do. Grace and Noah are scared. Can you come?" Without a second thought, Layla got in her car and drove through the torrential rain to the Carter's house. She found Owen at the door, his face pale with worry. "He started shaking and can't stop crying," he explained, leading her to the room where Ethan was lying down, his face red and eyes watery. Layla sat on the edge of the bed, placing her hand on the boy's forehead. "It's really hot. Do you have a thermometer?" Owen nodded, quickly going out to get him. Noah and Grace were standing at the door, watching with worried expressions. "Hey, you two," called Layla. "How about helping me out? Noah, can you fetch a clean cloth and a basin with cold water? Grace, do you think you can find the fever medicine in the bathroom cabinet?" The children nodded, seeming relieved to have something to do. Owen returned with the thermometer, and Layla measured Ethan's temperature, 39.5 degrees Celsius. "We need to bring this fever down," she said, accepting the damp cloth Noah was bringing. "Don't worry, little one. Everything will be all right." During the next 2 hours, Layla took turns with Owen, applying cold compresses and administering the medicine. She told stories to distract Ethan, and eventually managed to get him to sleep. Noah and Grace also ended up falling asleep on the living room sofa, exhausted from worry. When she finally got up from Ethan's room, whose fever had subsided, she found Owen leaning against the door frame. He looked at her in a way that made her heart race, as if he were seeing something for the first time, something that had always been there. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice hoarse with emotion. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Layla smiled, feeling strangely at home in that small room, with toys scattered about and the soft sound of the children's sleeping breaths. "I think we should put Noah and Grace to bed," she suggested, but Owen gently held her arm. "Layla, why are you doing all this for us?" The question hung in the air between them. Layla could have responded in many ways, talk about friendship, about helping those in need. But looking at Owen, at the worry lines around his eyes, at the way his hair still tousled in the same way it did in their youth, she knew there was only one true answer. "Because I think it was always you," she said finally, the words coming out like a sigh of relief. "I just took too long to realize it." Owen didn't respond with words. He took a step forward and touched her face gently, as if he feared Layla might disappear at any moment. Then, slowly, he kissed her. It was a kiss that carried years of waiting, of paths that had diverged only to meet again. Layla felt as if she was simultaneously returning home and embarking on a new journey. In the following months, the relationship naturally blossomed, as if they were just continuing a story that had been briefly interrupted. Layla began to spend more time at the Carter's house than in her own apartment. She learned to help with schoolwork, to handle nightmares, to make animal-shaped pancakes for Sunday breakfast. In return, she rediscovered the pleasure of small things, watching movies nestled on the couch with the kids, listening to the stories invented by Grace, discussing scientific theories with Noah, being greeted with enthusiastic hugs from Ethan when she arrived home from work. Owen watched everything with a growing smile, like someone witnessing an everyday miracle. Sometimes, when he thought she wasn't looking, Layla caught him with an expression of astonishment, as if he couldn't believe his own luck. On a Sunday morning, almost 9 months after that rainy night, Layla was in the kitchen cutting fruit for breakfast. The sound of footsteps made her turn around, and she found Owen standing at the door watching her. "Good morning," she smiled. "Are the kids still asleep?" He nodded, approaching slowly. There was an intensity in his gaze that made Layla put down the knife. "What's wrong?" Owen took her hands in his. "I've been thinking, you've been spending so much time here. Your toothbrush already has a permanent place in the bathroom. Half of your wardrobe is in my closet." Layla laughed. "Am I taking up too much space?" "No." He shook his head seriously. "Actually, I think it's still not enough." He took a deep breath before continuing. "Layla, I want you to stay. Not just for breakfast or for the weekend. I want you to stay forever." The request was simple, without grand gestures or elaborate speeches, and somehow that made it even more perfect. Layla looked around, at the modest kitchen with children's drawings attached to the refrigerator, at the mismatched cups, at the signs of a truly lived-in home. Then she looked at Owen, the boy who once declared his love for her on a park swing, now a man who looked at her with the same devotion, only more mature and deep. "Yes," she replied, feeling a certainty she had never experienced before. "I want to stay." In that moment, with the morning sun streaming through the kitchen window and the distant sounds of children beginning to wake up, Layla Dawson understood the most important lesson of her life. No matter how much she had chased security and success, the true treasure was where her heart found peace. And it had always been there, closer than she ever imagined. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.